What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, live on another Wednesday night for weekly NFL picks. But this is not just any regular, normal episode of your weekly picks, straight up and versus the spread. It's week 17. We're getting closer to the playoffs. We have a return. He has returned from a long hiatus. He has gone out into the world. He has gotten educated. He has gotten a degree. He still likes the same crappy football team, but that's okay. We accept all on this channel. Everybody, make some noise for the return of Dilly Vanilli. He's back and better than ever. Dylan, wrestling god, how you doing, man? Let the people know how you're doing and what your thoughts are to be back on the BLV Pick Show.
Man, what an intro. First off, I got to say, yes, I still cheer for those Cowboys. I am sorry to everybody that will have to deal with that in the future and in this video too. But I am very excited to be back. Yeah, it's been a minute. 2019 was the last time I was here as a mostly full-time guy. I lost weight. I got 2 degrees. I got my associates that December, and then now I have a bachelor's degree at Texas Tech, which feels weird to say. I put in a lot of work to do that, but now it's time. The timing was right. It felt right. Everything was put into place, and I'm here. And man, pick 'em. I mean, what better show to come back on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the show right there. You know what I mean? That's the one. We started it all. There's obviously a lot of different series, but this is the one that feels most at home. So I'm glad to be back, and we're just getting right into it. We got 2 weeks left before the NFL playoffs, which I'm very much looking forward to. We got a lot of stuff coming forward for that. So thank you very much.
It's time. It's time. It's Dilly time. Let's get to it. Nicholas Gill is in the chat saying Dilly is back. Woohoo! We got Sing saying, hello, Dylan. Jordan Hunter, the guitar-loving teen, says Dilly the GOAT. Jermari is in the chat. Caesar's in the chat. I'm sure we'll have a bunch of more people in the chat. Big Al, of course, reminding everybody. What's up, y'all? Go ahead and Gronk! Spike the like button and the notification bell. Subscribe to the channel for more NFL content just like this. And don't forget to become a member. We might even have to get Dilly on that BLV vs. Consensus podcast at some point soon. That is exclusive to members only, so make sure to sign up for that. Link in the description, guys. Check it out. You can become a patron or a YouTube member, whatever works better for you guys. So now that we have the introduction, now that we have the return of Dilly Vanilli, hopefully somewhat regularly to the BLV, we are going to make some picks. We're not going to waste any more time, so let's get to it. We begin, Dylan.
Yes.
With your team, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I want to hear your thoughts, your analysis on each and every one of those teams. But I think it's fitting that Thursday Night Football is the Dallas Cowboys. The first game is the Dallas Cowboys on your return. Terrell Owens is coming back.
Yes. Yes.
And we all know Dallas is favored by 12 points now because Mike Vrabel has decided to literally sit everybody. I don't even know who's playing at this point. But Dilly, I have one question and one question only.
All right, what is it? What we got?
If you, the Dallas Cowboys, enter January as that 5th seed, which you likely will,
yes,
Are you scared to take on the GOAT if Tom Brady makes it? How badly do you want the Panthers to whoop the Bucs' ass this week?
I want the Panthers to win. Please, please, God. I need them to win. It's not because the Bucs are very good. I think they've proven that they haven't, but the Cowboys have never beaten Brady. And you know he's going to have something to say about that, even with this awful team, which, again, we'll get into a little bit later. They're not, like I said, they're not the scariest team on the planet, but the Cowboys are a team that can beat any team in this league, and they can lose to any team in this league. It's as simple as that, and that's what scares me. That being said, they will not be losing this game because if they do, a lot of I don't even know what you would want to say, honestly. They got no Ryan Tannehill. They most likely won't have Derrick Henry, and they don't have like 1,000 other players because they're ready for that Week 18 matchup. They got to focus on that game. The Cowboys, what I'm looking for in this game, because it's so relaxed and pretty much the 5th seed is secure, there is an outside chance they could get the 1 seed, but don't really see that happening. This week, I just want them to focus on getting their defense better. Like just something to get motivated, because early on in the year, they were dominant, right? They were creating the turnovers. They were getting as many sacks as any team had in the last 25 years up to a certain point. And then here recently, things have gotten off the rails, and a lot of things have to play in that. As much as I don't like him, Anthony Brown was a corner you could have that was sustainable, and now we're seeing that the last 2 weeks without him has been very struggling in that position. So that's a concern. And plus, even though they got the win against Philadelphia last week, which was a great win for them, they still gave up 34 points a week after they gave up 40 points. That's not going to win you a whole lot of games, even if you have one of the best offenses in the league. So, and I know this isn't the best team to showcase that the defense is back, right? But I want to see something. I want to see something positive. I want to see somebody have a great performance. Somebody, that isn't like a Micah Parsons. Somebody that can shine out and have a great game. Deron Bland has been a great addition as a rookie. 5 interceptions this year. He's played very well. Maybe somebody like him, or just somebody to get me motivated, because there is one more divisional matchup. I believe it's against Washington in Week 18, and then it's the playoffs for the Cowboys. And you know what they say about the Cowboys, one and done, baby. So we don't want that this year. They got to get that done. I just want some positive motivation for the next 2 weeks going into the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right when it comes to the Dallas defense. That's the biggest thing that I've been a little bit concerned about, the regression there the last couple of games. Seeing what Gardner Minshew, as much swag as one man can ever have and hold in a pair of jorts and a mustache, Gardner Minshew sliced and diced the Dallas Cowboys defense. But I do feel like just dominating the Titans in general, both sides of the football, getting enough done on offense. This is, if you're looking at the Titans, still should have a lot of their pieces up front in the defensive line, which has proven to be one of the best defensive lines in football this year, especially tough to run against. So I feel like this is an area where maybe Dak takes more hold of the offense, throwing the football, spreading it out, trying to get those receivers involved, and we've seen each and every one of them, from CD taking a huge leap this year, in my opinion, as a player, and Michael Gallup, Noah Brown, they've all kind of been involved recently. I think this is a big game for Dak to spread the ball around to his weapons. So I think we're both going with the Cowboys to win the game. The only question is, will they cover the ginormous 12-point spread? And in that case, Dylan, I am going to say that they do, I guess, just
that
because
was confidence.
it is confidence. The only reason is I think Tennessee is really, truly treating this game as if it's a preseason game. Like, I don't think they care at all. They're resting a ton of players on offense and defense. I don't even know if, like, they're going to start Malik Willis or, like, Josh Dobbs or, like, I don't know who the quarterback's going to be, because, honestly, I don't know which one gives them the best chance to win going forward, because Malik Willis has been terrible. And, like, they're resting Henry. I don't know how much passion this team is going to come out with. I think Dallas should be able to beat the B team of the Titans by about 13, 14 points. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the spread. I really think, like you said, there's nobody out there. Like obviously they got their man up front, but other than that, like there's no talent being showcased for the Titans. They know next week is basically their season on the line, and they want to rest for that. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys. And again, their offense I think is going to push the envelope, kind of maybe even get a little creative and see what they can do with that. So I am going to take them on the spread as well.
Dilly, I got so excited about you returning to the show that I forgot to actually give my picks record this year, which
Oh.
last week, let's take a look. So last week, straight up, I went 11-5, but you know how tough it was versus the spread. I literally went the opposite versus the spread, which is like one of the only weeks I've been doing great against the spread this year. This has been one of the only weeks I've actually went below 500. So last week was just dreadful, and I apologize to everybody that watches this show and actually bets based on what I say and who I pick. But as we've always said over the years, Dilly, don't exactly just pick who we pick blind.
Yes.
Listen to what we say. Use a little bit of your own intuition and back it up, all right? Overall, we're 153, 85, and 2 straight up, 125, 110 versus the spread. So still doing pretty well, but we want to get back on track against the spread. And we'll see how Dilly does. I'll keep track of that as well for this week. So that's the first game. Thursday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys, both ways. Next up, no Saturday this week, I don't believe. So we have the Arizona Cardinals and the Atlanta Falcons, which is a game that literally not one single person is going to be watching other than degenerates. Atlanta -3.5. They're at home, and I can't give you another reason why they're favored by 3.5 points. I don't really know. Like, Colt McCoy should be back as quarterback for the Cardinals, which definitely helps because if you watch Trace McSorley, I mean, the guy can't really make a forward pass. So it's difficult to win games with a quarterback that can't throw the football, as we just stated with Malik Willis. I like Atlanta to win, but I like the Cardinals with the 3.5. You may disagree with me. I just think Atlanta is going to be able to run the ball a bit better, and that's been kind of their path to success all season long. I don't think the Cardinals are particularly good at stopping the run. So I think as long as Atlanta can just not give up explosive plays to D-Hop and Marquise Brown, they should be okay on the defensive side of the ball, run the ball, possess the ball, control the clock. And Arthur Smith just feels like he's a better coach, better coaching staff overall. Beat the Cardinals here. But, Dilly, do you agree that the Falcons will send J.J. Watt to retirement on a loss?
Man, first of all, that is sad to hear the retirement of J.J. Watt, of course, all-time legend, first ballot Hall of Famer. And it's disappointing that he has to play his career with the Texans and the Cardinals of all teams, but I digress. This game is a perfect example of why sometimes Week 17 is not the best week in the world, because you have to deal with two teams that are already mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So get them out of here. Get them out of here. It's not fun. That being said, I'm going with the Falcons. Yes, you are correct. Colt McCoy is going to be back, and he is better than Trace McSorley. I did, for some reason, watch all of the game against the Bucs on Christmas night. And wow, you know what? It wasn't it was kind of interesting. Not saying it was good, but it was interesting throughout all the way through. And watching McSorley pass was a great exaggeration of what the word pass means. So now I look at that, I'm like, okay, they're already better. That being said, the Falcons can run. They have the third best rush offense in the NFL by stats, and that's what's going to get it done. It's as simple as that. When you have a game like this where there's not a whole lot to go off of and a whole lot of nothing on the line, you have to pick what's going to be the best for either team, and I think the Falcons' run game is just going to be too much for the Cardinals. I will take them, and I will go ahead and take that spread at 3.5.
All right, so you're on the Falcons both ways. Meanwhile, I am on the Cardinals to get that 3.5. I like the hook, Dilly. I like the hook. But I will take the Atlanta Falcons to win the game. Ultras Atlanta Falcons, who I'm sure is very excited that Dilly Vanilli is back. Big Al also says, I live in Phoenix and I won't be watching the game.
Well, that says something right there. There you go.
All right. The next matchup is one that we've been a little bit discussing these last couple of games. The Carolina Panthers are traveling to Tampa Bay to play Tampa Tommy and the Buccaneers. The Bucs are favored by a field goal. And everybody, Dilly, it doesn't matter the gender, the race, the religion, is taking the Carolina Panthers after they just proved that they are the superior cat versus the Detroit Lions. They absolutely, they say keep pounding. They pounded. I could use another word for a cat there, but I'm not going to say it. A lot of rushing yards, a lot of yards. And actually, I heard one statistic which was hilarious. You're a big Peyton Manning fan, right, Dylan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
The Carolina Panthers versus the Lions had more yards in that game than Peyton Manning ever had, like on the Colts or the Broncos, as a team.
That is quite a stat. I got to give it that. That is
wild.
Wild.
And meanwhile, the Buccaneers almost lost to Trace McSorley.
Yes.
So I understand the public consensus. I understand where they're at. I understand Carolina's playing better football. But Dylan, I'm not going to sit here and get so off-brand. You know what it is. I'm taking the Buccaneers, Dilly. You actually expected me to come on to the live BLV pick show and pick the Carolina Panthers and Sam Darnold? Are you serious? I'm not doing that. I'm picking Tom Brady. It doesn't matter who's playing. But I will say, if they've got a healthy O-line, that's going to help greatly because their O-line last week was putrid. And like I said in the review show, it was like they had 3 orange cones on the left side of the line. They couldn't protect anybody. Defensively, they should have a couple players back. Jamel Dean being one of them, who's been a nice corner this year for them. I think the Bucs just, with that experience and with knowing how to raise the level of competition and play, I can't see them getting swept by the Panthers. So I'm going to take Tampa at home to win this game in a tight one, and I guess I'll take them to cover the spread because it's only 3. So I'm going to take them to win by, let's say, 4. 20-16, Tampa Bay.
20-16. Well, first off, sometimes I can be surprised. Maybe you would be taking the Panthers. No, I would actually be genuinely shocked if you would pick the Panthers on this one. I'm not going to lie about that. However, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, I did watch that Bucs game. Again, I don't really know why. I think Christmas was upon me. There was a couple of drinks available, and so I decided to indulge. Yeah, a bunch of eggnog. There you go. Some eggnog, some festivities were there. Maybe had one or too many of those, and that's why I decided to watch the whole thing. That being said, I did watch them. There's just so many things I can say in just so little time, but what I'm going to summarize is this. The Bucs are obviously not what they have been the last 2 years. In fact, the regression has been extreme. They were averaging over 30 points a game last year, which was the number 1 team in the NFL on offense. They are now averaging 17.5 points in the NFL. That's good for the 4th worst in the league. I don't think you want to be in a competition between Russell Wilson and the Broncos this year. That's not where you want to be. There are a lot of problems with this team. Their rush offense is putrid, man. I mean, I get that there was criticism when Ronald Jones was there, but you can't tell me he wouldn't be doing better than the 32nd ranked rushing team in the league. The Brady, there's the interceptions and the miscommunication. I think that's one of the bigger things. It's not really about Brady. and his ability right now. There's so much miscommunication, so much non-chemistry with this team, and it really is showing. And there's a whole bunch of weak parts. And their defense, for their credit, is holding this team together. They're really trying to give them a chance, and they did good. But, man, when you're playing overtime against Trace McSorley, you have an issue somewhere. The Panthers, on the other hand, have decided we're coming back from the dead, and we're going to have Sam Darnold as QB, and it's going to work out. And everybody on Twitter is like, okay, yeah, sure, all right. And now they're 3-1 since that point, and it's not really because of Sam Darnold. He has been what I've called a perfect game manager. He's just limited his mistakes to a minimum and not had that be the focal point or the spotlight. It's been about the run game. Last week, they went berserk. They went crazy against the Lions. Dante Foreman, 165 yards and a touchdown. But not only that, Mitch. Chuba Hubbard had 125 yards of his own. This team rushed for over 300 yards. That's madness. When do you see that? That's
never.
Crazy. It's almost never. So I'm going to pick the Panthers. Which obviously means I got to pick them in the
Panthers.
I got to pick them, man. I just feel like even though they're not dominant, they're not going to do jack in the playoffs if they make it. They are right now, to me, the hotter hand, and I get that saying this against Brady is almost ridiculous in any other year. But this year, I have not seen enough from the Bucs. So I feel like the Panthers, they're going to strike. They've gotten this resurgence, and when is the best time to get hot, Mitch? Right before the playoffs, and the Panthers have done that right now. So I'm going to say, going with the hot hand here. We're going with the Panthers.
All right. Next, we got the Chicago Bears.
Bears.
Nick Gill taking on the Detroit Lions. The Lions, biggest embarrassment last week. Like we just laid it down. They've heard all the stats. They've heard the rushing yards. And I think that's the exact reason they come out and they have a nice performance here. They're back at home. Jared Goff's not in the cold. He's comfortable. He's going to have a blankie on. And Jared Goff's got protection up front versus a bad pass rush. The Bears were allowing almost 9 yards a carry versus the Buffalo Bills last week. So I expect DeAndre Swift to swiftly remove himself from the backfield and into the end zone. And I believe the Lions will get back to business at stopping the run. I could see Justin Fields with some QB keepers trying to go off and make this one interesting. But I'm going to go with the Lions to win and to cover the 6. I'm not super confident in their covering the 6 because I could see, Fields and the Bears offense backdooring it. But I think that they will. So I'm going to say Lions by 8 to 10 points in this game. I think they get back on track and give themselves a chance for the playoffs, Dylan. Do you agree?
Yeah, to me, this is a must-win for the Lions, obviously. Playoffs would say so. They got embarrassed last week. And my brother is a Lions fan, and I feel sad for him every week because I thought being a Cowboys and Vikings fan is hard. But, man, being a Lions fan is a whole different ballgame. That being said, coming into that game, there was a lot of hope. There was a lot of good things that this team had brought to the table. Goff had kind of a resurgence. He'd been playing really, really well, and this team was clicking. Their defense is like Swiss cheese, but that doesn't matter. They were still able to get it done for the most part, and then the Swiss cheese came out to play last week, and that's what you get as a result, an absolute destruction on the rushing side. That being said, yeah, the Bucs can run the ball with Justin Fields and the talent they have with Montgomery and all that. What I'm going to find interesting is, the Bears have the worst pass offense in the league, and the Lions have the worst pass defense in the league. So that's going to be a heck of an interesting
what a showdown,
right? I'm so interested to see how that's going to really play out. Now, but I think this is just going to be one of those classic NFC North, like close games. There's something to be said that Justin Fields wants to do, even though they're out. I'm going to take the Lions to win, but I am going to take the Bears to cover. I think it's going to be a
Okay.
24-20 matchup. Like I said, the defense is going to have to do something for the Lions, but I think it'll get them the win. But I do think the Bears are going to have some plays to get it done and at least cover. So that's what I'm going.
Fair enough. Next, we got the Jacksonville Jags at the Houston Texans. Jacksonville favored by 4.5. Now, the Texans, I've been hearing it all week, own the Jacksonville Jags. They own them, Dilly Vanilli. They beat them earlier this year. I think they swept them last year. They own Jacksonville. But if everybody is saying that Jacksonville is this dark horse, sleeper team, Trevor Lawrence is playing unbelievable, you gotta have him in your top 10 quarterbacks, blah, 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 Doug Peterson is back, then how can Jacksonville not win and cover this game, Dylan? How can you take the Jags serious if they don't win and cover this game?
Got a point. You've got a point.
So, when I look at it and I pick it, I've got Jacksonville to win and cover. I like Jacksonville. They're coming off of a Thursday night game, so they got extra time to rest up for this one. I understand that Jacksonville doesn't necessarily have to win this game because they basically just have to beat the Titans next week. But don't they know that they never beat the Texans? So won't they want to come out here and layeth the smack-a-downeth on their candy asses, Dilly?
You already know he's got to lay down the smackdown on their candy asses because Jacksonville. Why do you want to go into a game losing? I guess this is the same thing. I guess the Titans are doing. But to me, it makes even less sense if you're the Jaguars.
But the Titans are on IR. It makes sense.
I know. Yeah, at least there's something to it. This time it would be okay, why? You're not helping yourself out. You're not going to go into Week 18 with any momentum. There's no momentum. You just lost to the Texans. Now, I will give the Texans credit. They at least play hard. They're one of the better 2-12-1 teams you could ever find on this planet because they try to win games. They almost beat Dallas. They almost beat Kansas City. They won last week. So there is something to be said about that. But Jacksonville, I've been impressed. Of course, I've had to watch a lot of Trevor Lawrence because he was my starting quarterback over the last 6 weeks in fantasy. Thank you very much. Did win because of you, or at least with you on my team. So thank you. But he has really improved. I mean, if you're just seeing him, he's got that leadership mentality now, and I think it's starting to get going for him. And especially with all the hype of being the number 1 overall pick and the quarterback draft class that he had, there's all this hype and all this talk about what he's going to do in the league. And last year, he didn't really do much. So there was a lot of questions going into this year, and I think he's done a great job at pushing forward and now leading this team into a situation where they can easily win the AFC South. I don't want to spoil it next week or anything, but I feel like they have a great opportunity to do that and pick up the 4th seed as a result. They've got a good run game. Travis Etienne just eclipsed 1,000 yards last week, and their receiver game is 1,000 times better than it was last year. Even if you don't think they're the greatest talent in the world, they gave them these big contracts, and they're working well with Trevor Lawrence, which is great to see. I am going to pick Jacksonville not only to win, but to cover the spread. They need this win. I guess not in terms of playoffs, but in terms of momentum. So that's why I'm going to take them.
Yeah, I think if they try in this game, there's no reason they shouldn't win and cover. I think I'm just not going to try to think about them not even going to try. It's too much.
Yeah.
Next.
Well, the Texans have also got to cover that potential number 1 overall pick.
That too, Dilly. You don't think that owner doesn't care? I mean, he's messing with everything on that team. I mean, he was setting up some massages. Cleveland Browns at the Washington Commanders. Washington is -2. They need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive for that 7th seed. The Cleveland Browns... Dilly, who are you picking here?
I'm going to pick Washington. I'm just going to say that straight up right now. I am picking Washington, obviously, to win and cover the spread. It's only -2. There is a fun game I'd like to play. It's called Quarterback Carousel, the best game in the world if you're a struggling franchise. And Washington has decided to get back on the carousel, if you will, because no Heineke this week. We got Carson Wentz time, who he has been just the NFL anomaly, honestly. Over his entire career, he's been so great, and he got hurt, and he was great, and he wasn't. Then he had that 1 year in Indianapolis, and that was weird, and now he's here, and then he isn't playing well, and then Taylor Heineke, the man that almost beat Tom Brady in the playoffs, he's here, and he's great, he's awesome, he beat the Eagles, right? And then he's struggling, and now this is happening, and then now this is happening, and so we're back to Carson Wentz. I'm honestly just shocked Washington is even in this position at this point with everything that goes on with this team on a weekly basis. Like not only outside of the league, but like every game they play. It's like, wow, I can't believe it. They need this win, like you said, in order to stay alive in playoff contention. And this is a game that they can win. So I'm going to go with them. But like I said, they're just one of those weird teams that's going to sneak by and probably, I'm not going to say they're going to get the 7th seed 100%, but I might have like a couple of percents higher for them than I do for these other teams in the hunt, if you will.
Dilly, I apologize. I didn't play the sound effect right after you said Carson Wentz time, so here it is.
Bruh.
All right. Washington -2. I said it's actually a best bet this week. Hopefully I don't regret it. Carson Wentz can make you regret things, but I like the matchup for Washington because, as you know, Dilly, versus the Browns, you have to do 2 things. Run the ball, stop the run.
Yes.
Washington, if they can do anything, can run the ball, possess the ball, chew the clock. That's how they beat the Eagles. And then they can stop the run. They've got a good defensive line. They also got a good front four that's athletic, can chase around Deshaun Watson. So I think Washington wins the line of scrimmage in this game. And I think Carson Wentz is sort of a game manager. But honestly, I think people just hate Wentz a ton. Like, I don't think the quarterback difference between the two is that big. I just think everyone hates him. So, And Deshaun Watson has absolutely stunk. Next. Denver Broncos. Dilly's favorite team.
Yes.
Versus the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. These 2 teams played earlier in the year, not that long ago, with Russ, and it was probably Russ's best game of the year. And they came back and they almost actually made it interesting before Russ got knocked out, concussed, and done for the game. Now they've got a new coach. Hackett is gone, out of there. They got a new man at the helm. I like Denver with the 13. This is -13. It's +13. I put the wrong team, so I apologize for that. Sometimes we got mistakes on the channel that I just miss. Sorry, guys. But it is Kansas City -13. I like Denver with the points, the 13. I saw it at 14. I bet it at 14. Okay? So I like 13 still. I just feel like their defense is going to play hard. I think their team is going to play hard. I think with the new coach, like there's reason to get up for the game, energize the team a little bit. And Kansas City is just not very good at covering these massive, ginormous spreads. Last week they were able to cover versus Seattle, but I didn't really feel they played all that well. I thought Seattle kind of went for it way too many times in Kansas City territory. Didn't kick when they could have and covered the spread that way. They were 3 for 6 on fourth down. I didn't think Kansas City played particularly well. But when you look at the Chiefs, I don't think they need to play particularly well. I think they need to continue to find, ways to play better defense. Get after the quarterback, stop the run, and play playoff defense, because that's kind of the area of their team right now that I feel is their weakness entering that postseason that I don't quite trust. Defense hasn't been up to the standards of, I think, the best Chiefs teams, 2019, 2020, 2021. This is the worst defense, in my opinion, since that 2018 team. Not saying they're as bad, but I just don't think they're necessarily as clutch or as big of playmakers. So I think they're just looking for better defense, and Spagnuolo usually tinkers with some things and figures some things out at this time of the year. But I think the Chiefs do enough to win the game. I think they try to coast to the victory in the second half that allows Denver to cover the spread. Dylan, do you agree with me, or do you think that Kansas City is going to punish the Broncos here?
Well, first off, I will not be taking Denver -13.
Yes,
I think
don't do that.
Be,
I don't recommend that. If I recommend anything all week.
-13 would be a travesty to pick them in any way. Man. I don't know if anybody saw this, but did you guys see their performance against the Rams?
It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah. Bro, Russ was getting cooked by Patrick Starr over on Nickelodeon, man. You know how bad that's got to be?
Russ is the chef that's making friggin' frozen pizzas, bro.
Bro, you know what? Not even that, because at least frozen pizza can be good, man.
That's true, but still.
He's cooking some burnt chicken nuggets, man. It's rough over here. Because I didn't watch that full game. That one was mostly in the background, if anything else. And the guy that I was playing in the fantasy league started Denver's defense. Thank you very much for the -4 points you gave to that team. That being said, it was so rough. I think it was just one of those performances where you're making Baker Mayfield and Cam Akers look like the next Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk. Don't do that. That is not how you're supposed to play a team. And now you got to play Kansas City. This is interesting. Obviously, I'm taking the Chiefs. There is no question about that. But do I take the points? You know what? I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take them. I'm going to take the Chiefs to cover. Obviously, this is just not even a tune-up matchup to get ready for the playoffs. It's just, we got another game scheduled. I do want to see some things get better. Like you said, their defense has been kind of iffy here, and kind of meh. And you're going to be playing way better teams. You're going to have matchups that are not necessarily favorable for you. So I want to see some kind of just good improvement. Kind of maybe not exactly in the same boat as Dallas, but in a similar way, if you will, with their defense. Their offense is going to perform, so just want to see how that's going to be. And if I had to give a final, I'm going to say 31-13. That's how I'm going to go with for the Chiefs. Yeah, destroying.
So are you taking the points then or no?
I'm taking the Chiefs to cover.
Oh, you're taking the Chiefs to cover. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The Indianapolis Colts at the New York Giants. Giants, I never thought I'd see this all season, are favored by 6 points versus a professional football team, Dilly Vanilli.
Whoa.
But when that professional football team has a head coach that doesn't even know what he is doing and has a offensive line that allows 7 sacks to the Chargers and a quarterback like Nick Foles, who's a statue, it's hard to say that the Giants will not win and cover. I think I'd take the Giants to cover up to about 7.5. I'd look maybe to the Colts, but I'm going to take the Giants here because I think from a defensive standpoint, Don Martindale is going to cook some blitzes up and they're going to pressure Nick Foles and they're going to get after him, and I think they're going to cause some turnovers once again. I like how their defense is playing as of late. I feel like they're playing better. I'm not saying they're great or anything, but I do feel the Giants defense has improved. And then offensively, I think they've kind of found a little bit of a rhythm once again. Obviously any offense is going to look a lot better versus the Minnesota Vikings. We've kind of seen that all season long. But Isaiah Hodgins, doing his thing. Saquon kind of healthier now. And Daniel Jones, I think, got some confidence in this receiving core. Brian Daboll's figured some things out in the play calling. I think the Giants win. I think the Giants cover, and they kind of secure their spot as a playoff team. Dylan, do you see this going any differently?
No. I think Giants are going to secure that 6th seed for themselves. And you just show that the Colts are pretty much ineffective in every way, shape, and form. Watching Foles on Monday night, it kind of reminded me on like when you're playing Madden and you have the slowest quarterback that you're playing with, and then he just gets cooked all day. You can't move out of the pocket. You can't do anything. Foles looked so bad. And this Colts team is pretty much like as poverty as it gets right now. They are in a lot of trouble going forward, and they need to find a quarterback that can play longer than one season. As for the Giants, who we should be talking about more, or who I should be talking about more because they have more to look forward to, their offense, like you said, has been kind of getting that groove going again. They were hot to start off the year, then they kind of struggled. They had that losing streak, and now they're back one game away from getting the 6th seed. And there's things to like about them. Of course, Saquon has been rejuvenated this year, and not really in the run game the last couple of games. They kind of used him as the best thing he's got going for him is his pass catching. But the team is still doing well and still getting good plays. No, they lost to the Vikings, but like you said, they still looked pretty good. It just happens to be against the miracle team, if you will. And their defense is been playing well, and I like a lot of the talent that they have there. And if they have any pass rush whatsoever, good luck. Indianapolis, good luck. So that being said, I will be taking the Giants, and I will see them covering the spread as well.
Okay. Next up, we have the New England Patriots, Dilly. Now that you're back on this BLV pick show, know the propaganda Patriots are going to be discussed here. Yes. New England is at home. New England is favored after Tua got concussed for the 15th time this season. Unfortunately, hopefully he is healthy, okay. And hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen with his career. Hopefully he can still play, but I don't really know what to say about that. I want to be careful with my words, but Teddy Bridgewater will be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. We have seen him play a little bit this year because Tua has been injured multiple times. Teddy was not great. He's certainly not as good as he used to be, and although there's not a lot separating the two players in terms of actual physical talent, feels like what Tua does well within the offense, kind of like quick RPOs and reading the defense and getting the ball to the playmakers. Teddy doesn't do as much, and they don't try to do with Teddy as much. They try to maybe look a little bit more to that intermediate level, try to hit some throws that way, because Teddy is not an RPO kind of like master the way that Tua is, which is probably the strength of young Tua's game. But this is a big game, obviously, for both teams for the playoff position. Miami is by no means secure in their playoff position, and New England still has a shot, believe it or not, after absolutely blowing both of the last two games in unique fashion.
Yes.
Dilly, I want to believe in the Patriots, bro. I want to believe in the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the injury report today.
Yeah.
A lot of corners hurt, bro. A lot of corners hurt. I'm afraid of Tyreek Hill. I've been saying, I love Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
What he can do. Jalen Waddle. But I got to hope that a couple of them suit up and they play. I think our pass rush is deadly. I think Judon and Uche can make some things happen. I think we can cause some turnovers, cause some mistakes, especially if it's cold. Miami's got to travel to the cold. They don't like that. If Matt Patricia actually plays our best receiver, Kendrick Bourne, if Matt Patricia doesn't call a screen every play, We have a chance to win this game. I think that the Patriots, as long as they're healthy enough on defense, will win this game because I think their defense will win it for them. Miami defensively struggled a bit against the pass. I do expect us to have some success if we actually try to attempt to throw the ball past the line of scrimmage. We should have some success. Running the ball may be a bit more difficult because Miami is good against the run. But Miami loves to blitz, and I think New England will be prepared to make some plays. So I think that the Patriots come through, and I think they win. Not by a lot, probably by 6 or 7, but I think they're going to win the game, and I think this is going to help them put themselves in that conversation for the 7 seed in the AFC, and we'll have to see how this week and Week 18 go for the New England Patriots. Dilly, as not a Patriots fan, how do you feel about this matchup?
This and a game we're going to get to right at the end have been the 2 games I've been back and forth on this week. Who do I pick? Who do I feel in my heart is going to win this game? Let's start off with the Dolphins first. Tua should not play the rest of the season. I'm sorry. I look, Twitter doctors are a thing, and that's kind of been criticized, especially after the Thursday Night Football incident. But you see a guy get that injured 3 times in one season. It doesn't seem like healthy or right to do that. And I just, if he has any chance to try to play in the NFL longer, rest. Just let him rest. It's more important to do that and try to have some future with him than try to come back here at the end of the season and then only imagine if he gets hurt again. Like, it's over. It would be over. The rest of the team has explosive playmakers. Like you said, especially with the Patriots corners out, Waddle and Hill, who's matching their speed, especially with those guys hurt? No one. Like, first play that the Dolphins had last week against the Packers, Waddle went 84 yards, and it was basically on Waddle's speed, and Tyreek was jogging along with him. So, if anything, that makes me nervous if I'm a Patriots fan. I'm not going to lie. They don't really have the greatest run game in the world. I wouldn't be worried about that. But those 2 receivers alone could put you in a binding situation. Even with Teddy B, who is not very good anymore. I think he's a below average even game manager at this point. But he can do something. He's still there. He's not a terrible backup QB. And I bet you Mike McDaniel is going to be here all week, trying to be the smart guy that he is, trying to focus on what can I use Teddy B for now that I have not that I have to because most times Teddy B goes in, it's like, oh, because Tua got hurt in the middle of the game. Now he has a full week to try to think of a playbook and a game plan for him that's going to work.
Sure.
Patriots find new ways to make me, I don't know, annoyed is the word, because I'm not like you said, I'm not a Patriots fan, but I look at them and I watch their games and I'm like, how do you do what you're doing? That's my question. Some of these teams, I know why they're bad, or I know why they're struggling. I don't know what the Patriots bring to the table well, I guess Matt Patricia, I do know why. That's part of that. But, I was watching, I was during my break, my first week of my vacation, because I was graduating, and all the family were down. And I was watching the Patriots and the Raiders play. Oh. I'm sorry for your reaction that I did watch. It was very, very sad. But I was watching it, and he was like, we were going crazy, and my grandpa's not the loudest person in the world, and all of a sudden he's like, what are they doing? And I'm like, I don't know, I've never seen that in my entire life. And then they somehow came back and gave us a pretty fine sequel last week to finish it off. They don't trust Mac Jones. They don't trust what they're doing, and they don't trust the system that they built. Like, why? Their defense can get it done, especially without Tua, but their pass game just really, and their receivers really scare me to try to pick them here, because I just don't think they have any juice, to be honest with you. That being said, I got to make a decision, right? I can't do much.
He's trying to drag this out as long as he can. Tessa's even picking the Patriots, which is the first time ever. She says, I think the Pats will win 28-25. First time I've ever saying this, and I regret it. I feel like Big Al says New England is going to win and cover. Wow. So people actually like New England this week. Maybe that's a reason to pick Miami, Dylan.
That is a good reason. All right, no more stalling. I'm going
Come
to
on!
go.
Give it to me!
I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
Oh!
I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I don't feel confident, if that makes you feel any better, or anybody any better. I don't feel confident. I wish I wouldn't have had to pick Teddy B in a competition here, but the Patriots team just does not make me feel good. They just don't make me feel good. And I feel like if the Dolphins, they got to win one of the next two. It's them against the Jets. They can win either of those games, but I'm going to put it down. I'm just going to say it. Just going to go with the Dolphins here.
Bruh.
All right. Next, we have the New Orleans Saints at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles -6, I believe. I don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to be thrusted back into the lineup because, Dilly, they have the Saints pick. But I don't know if it really matters who's playing quarterback for the Eagles. Gardner Minshew is a good quarterback. Like, he is. He's a top backup, if not the best backup in the league, in my opinion. Manages the game well. Did throw a couple picks last week, which was surprising to see, but he also came through with some big throws, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, but a lot of points regardless for the Eagles. And this Eagles offense is just cooking, man. They can run it. They protect. They've got great receivers, weapons galore. It's magnificent. And I think this Saints defense has been disappointing this year. You know, after the last couple of years, they've been dominant and then fallen off this year. They've shown some good performances at times, but their pass rush has been inconsistent and they haven't really been able to impact the quarterback much at all. I think if it's Jalen Hurts, they easily win this game and cover because the Saints always have difficulties with the mobile quarterback aspect. If it's Gardner Minshew, I think it'll be a little bit closer, but I think the Eagles are still going to win, and I'm still going to lean towards them covering, although it's tough because I don't think the Eagles really have much to play for other than the fact that they have their pick, so the Saints pick. I do want to see the Eagles defense play better, and this could be a spot where this Saints offense just, it's just, there's nothing really of substance there. I don't really know what their identity is. I don't really know what they lean on. I don't know what they could lean on. Like, it's just not a very good unit all across the board. So I'm going to go with the Eagles both ways.
Yeah, the Saints to me are just, I don't know, painfully boring. They don't really excite me one way or the other. And the Eagles, as somebody that has to watch them quite frequently, they did a pretty good job last week. And Gardner, you know, a couple of dropped interceptions by the Cowboys players, but overall, he was leading the team to give them the chance to win that game. And, you know, you got to give him credit. It was right to the very end. He looks like a quarterback that I feel like a lot of teams would really appreciate having. And for the Eagles to have him as a backup, that's a nice bonus for them. They've still got talent that I don't think the Saints are going to be able to stop, even if it is Gardner Minshew this week. If Jalen Hurts wins, like you said, easy. No doubt about it. I am still going to take the Eagles to cover here. I'm going to take them here at -6. I think they'll win by a touchdown. So it's not a huge one. It's going to be like 27-20, something like that. That kind of game. But I think Gardner's just going to lead this team, and they do need to get one more win to, you know, clinch that number one seed. Yeah. So they got to win. They got to play for something here. I don't think they need to thrust Hurts into that role. Now, if they do lose this week and the Cowboys win against the Titans, they're going to have Jalen Hurts be back next week. I think he would be back. But, you know, that being said, I just think they want to get it done. And then week 18, take it a little bit easy as they go into the playoffs. So I will be taking the Eagles here.
Okay. Big Al says we gon' layeth the smack down on the Saints candy asses. All right.
Nice.
The Jets Jets.
Jets.
At the sea. Hawks. Shout out to Kevel.
Kevel.
We've got Tessa in the chat, big Seahawks fan. Seahawks country, she says. I like the Jets, man. Like, I want the Seahawks to win. I do. Because it would help New England. Like, because if New England just wins one of the next 2 games and the Jets lose here and then beat Miami, they're in. So, I want the Seahawks to win. Okay, Tessa? But I just don't think they're playing well. Like, the Jets' defense is still really awesome. Yeah. Strong defensive line. Gonna stop the run of Kenneth Walker. And Geno has not been playing that well as of late. Tyler Lockett's not in the lineup, beat up. I don't think he's playing this week. And really, Sauce could match up with DK. I just don't see Seattle having any success offensively consistently enough. On the other side of the ball, Seattle's defense is not very good. They kind of played above their heads last week against Kansas City to make that one interesting and cause more 3-and-outs than I would have expected. But I think the Jets will run it a little bit. Mike White back in the lineup, much better than Zach Wilson this year. I think that's a massive bonus for this team. I think the Jets win, man. It's in Seattle. It's the 12s. I want the Hawks. I just can't. I got to pick the team that I think's better, and I think it's the Jets.
First off, I did get an update during our filming here that Tyler Lockett apparently looked great in walkthroughs. He might play this Sunday.
Big news. Like it. Like it a lot. There we go. Adam Shefty here.
Yeah, of course. You already know who it is. It's your boy Dilly Shefty. Anyways,
Straight cash, homie.
I'm going with the Seahawks, man. Let's ride with it. I'm going with them. I got a feeling that the Seahawks are going to do it. As I mentioned earlier in this video, what's the best thing to do? Get hot right before the playoffs. What's the worst thing you can do? Be one of these 2 teams because they have fallen down in not the greatest way. They're kind of stumbling in here as we're getting into the last couple of weeks. The Jets maybe had an opportunity to win this very clustered AFC East. Who the heck knows? At this point, obviously the Bills are going to win, but you being the second best team, who the heck knows who the second best team in the AFC East is? I don't know. Does anybody? I don't know. Seahawks, all this talk about Geno, and he gets named to the Pro Bowl. He's a comeback player of the year. Great. Last 2 weeks, not been there. It just has not been there for this team. They have not clicked. It is very unfortunate they had to play the 49ers, who have the best defense in the league, and the Chiefs, who can stomp out any team on a short notice. But here, if you want to get in the playoffs, you got to win. Simple as that. And I know both of these teams have to have that same mentality, which is going to make this one of the more fun games here this week. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. But I'm going to take that. Just if you feel, in my heart, Mitch, if there's 2 teams that are very close together and I have to pick something over the other, home field advantage. Seahawks.
The 12s.
The 12. That's what's going to get it done, man. I feel like there's just something in them. They're going to drive right at the end, kick this game-winning field goal, and Seattle's going to rejoice that they can get in the playoffs, in this situation where they weren't even supposed to be in, right? Keep that momentum going, or at least start it back up. I'm going with Seattle. Even though the Jets' defense is very good, like you said, they can bring it. Mike White is back. Huge upgrade. Huge, massive upgrade from Zach Wilson. But there's just something there that I feel. Seattle.
Geno revenge game.
Yes, Geno revenge game.
You made a compelling case, Dilly. That's a good case. I'm going to stick with my pick, but I won't be surprised if the Seahawks pull it off. All right.
Well, boy, now one game to the next. Yeah, how about this one?
49ers opened as 5-point favorites. Yours truly bet the house Now it's -10. Why? Not because of anything I did, but because Derek Carr has been sat. Although,
Gonzo.
I do not think, maybe I am higher on Jarrett Stidham than other people are, and I always have been, Dilly, when we did the scouting reports back
Yes,
in the
absolutely.
day. And actually, he did have a good preseason for the Raiders this year. I think the Raiders were like the best preseason team in the league this year. I think there isn't, the way that Derek Carr was playing this year, I don't think there's a 5 or 4 point difference between the two. There is a difference, don't get me wrong. But the way Derek Carr has been playing, I don't think that the quarterback's necessarily been the engine of success offensively. It's been Josh Jacobs, Dilly's boy, in the backfield, and Devontae Adams. But they're playing the Niners, who, Dylan, I don't know if you know this. I kind of like the Niners a little bit.
I think maybe just a little bit. I think.
Yeah,
just a little bit.
I got a little obsession. I think they're the best team in the league, and I think they're gonna win. And 10 points is a lot now. Like 5 all over it. But if I do believe that Stidham isn't that much worse than Carr, do I take the 10? I can't do it. I gotta pick the Niners. I gotta pick the Niners, man. I think the Raiders have kind of given up, I think, on this season. And I think they're gonna go rebuild a little bit, maybe flirt with Tom Brady. I don't know. We'll see. And then try to get some things done in the offseason. But I think the Niners are just like just a well-oiled machine right now, the way they're playing. McCaffrey running the ball. Purdy. Ayuk. Kittle's playing well. Defense has been unbelievable. So I got to go with the Niners here to just continue to steamroll these average teams. The last few weeks, they've just been showing that they're elite, superior. And I think they do that again.
Man, if there's one team that I don't want to be playing against right now, it's the 49ers. Get away from them in the playoffs. I don't want to see them. Somebody else do the dirty work, man. I don't want to have to deal with that going forward because this team is scary.
Dylan's going to sacrifice the Vikings to the Niners for the Cowboys' sake.
I might just have to do it, man, because if there's one team that can pull off a miracle, it could be them. I'll let them do that business because they're hot. They are hot, and they make me nervous on a regular basis if I have to focus on them going forward. This Raiders team, again, maybe one too many drinks at the Christmas Eve party because I watched them play the Steelers, and that was what a way. If this is Derek Carr's last game, what a terrible way to go out. I'm sorry. I feel bad for the man. I think he's a great guy. I think he'll get another chance somewhere.
Yep.
But what a terrible way to end your 9-year tenure with the Raiders with a awful performance. Now, granted, it was cold. Steelers are kind of hot right now for some reason. Their defense was able to get it done, but it was again frustrating. About as frustrating as watching the Bucs the next night. So,
nothing's more frustrating than that.
It was close. It was. You're right. Bucs were definitely number 1, but if I had to put a number 2. Raiders right there because I watched them. That being said, they've given up on the season. They still have a mathematical chance to make the playoffs, but they don't even care one bit about that. They're like, dude, let's get rid of him. Derek Carr, you can go home, take a nice vacation. Jarrett Stidham, you're here. I don't know, throw the ball or something. Just go out there and make up 11 people or something. And they're throwing them to the wolves because this 49ers defense is going to be rocking. Again, if they're beating up average teams, they're going to beat up this one who has pretty much given up on the year. I'm going to take the 49ers, and I'm going to take that spread, baby. Let's go for it. Let's see how far the 49ers can push the agenda. I'm going 31-14. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling. It's just too dominant.
Next, we've got the Battle of LA. And when I looked at the schedule, I thought this was going to be an epic collision between Justin Herbert and obviously Baker Mayfield. The Rams, the Chargers, Dilly.
Oh, wait a minute.
Chargers! Bolt up. It's time. The Chargers have made the playoffs, Dilly. They didn't Charger it. They're in the postseason. And now there's reports Rashawn Slater, Joey Bosa could be back soon. Now, I like the Chargers to win this game because why not? They got the better quarterback. They got the better roster. I think they're playing the better football. But I'm going to take the Rammies with the 6.5. I think the Rams are going to make this one close. I like the way, and I've been calling him Sean McCabo all year long because spends a little bit too much time in Cabo. But I think that Sean McCabo will have his team prepared. I like the way he's coaching lately. I like how they're playing. I think they're still playing with pride and passion, and they realized that most of the season they were an embarrassment to a Super Bowl champion. And I think they're going to run the ball well against the Chargers team that I still think struggles to stop the run. Yes. And I think the Rams defense is fairly solid. One area that I do feel the Chargers are not playing their best. Surprisingly, they're playing great in pass defense, but offensively, the last couple of weeks, they've struggled a little bit to put up a ton of points, and Herbert struggled a little bit just to put up like touchdowns in general. So I do think the Chargers need to get back on track in that regard, and I think this is another kind of tough matchup. So I'm going to say the Rams' ability to play pretty good defense and run the ball makes it close, but the Chargers pull it off with Justin Herbert leading the way. Dilly.
Yeah, first things first, we all knew that coming into the season, when the Rams and the Chargers were going to play, that Week 17 matchup was going to be against, of course, Herbert and Baker Mayfield. Yes, we all knew that right at the start. I was very excited for that. Second, to your point, the last 2 games, Herbert has 0 passing touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Not great. That is not great for a team that has made the playoffs. But thank goodness they made the playoffs. I'm just relieved we got to that point. You can't a beggar cannot be a chooser in this scenario. Got to have something there. So thank you. We're going to see Herbert in the playoffs. He's going to give us some great entertainment. I just know it. That being said, this game we're talking about right now is in Week 17. Rams, they have done something that is better than what they've been performing all year. They were the worst follow-up to a Super Bowl champion since the Bucs in 2002. So that is not a case you want to be on, I would say. And Stafford out for the year. Baker comes in, and he's been a heck of a storyline. He's at least been entertaining, and they've done something. So congrats. You could have just done nothing. So there's something. And Cam Akers, 3 touchdowns last game. I don't know what happened. Apparently he was motivated, I guess. The Chargers overall, I really like them. I think, again, they're getting hot at the right time. Even if Herbert hasn't played the best the last 2 weeks, Eckler still doing great, 11 touchdowns. Not really necessarily running not a lot of rushing yards, but getting the touchdowns, that's what matters more than anything else. And, they're going to be focused on trying to build on it and keep going forward. So I think the Chargers are going to win. That point differential, that's interesting. That spread is interesting. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to take the Rams on this one. I'm going to go with you on this. I feel like they'll keep it interesting. And even though, the Chargers at home, just something about it kind of seems like
same stadium, but yeah.
I know that means nothing. It means literally nothing. So I gotta take the Chargers, but I'll take the Rams on those points. They've got some kind of motivation that at least gets me excited, and not like totally like a blowout for them.
Dilly, before we get to the next game, first of all, I have to announce that Crazy Guy is in the house. And then I also have to say, welcome back to Amanda Lee. And what I really wanted to say is, this is the return of Dilly, as you can see. We've got 64 live viewers. But Dilly, there's the problem.
What's that?
There's only 30 likes, bro.
Oh. Whoa,
so I don't know what they're doing over there, sitting on their hands. Gronk, spike the like button. Come on, man. Gronk, spike that like button. Show some support for this video, for the channel. Show some love. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get to that next game. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
Dilly's Minnesota Vikings. If you guys don't know, Dylan's second favorite team is the Vikings. Green Bay at home. Green Bay, Lambeau Field. Green Bay benefited from Tua turned the ball over last week.
It sure did.
3.5 is the spread, which is a shocking spread. The Packers being favored over a team that is second seed in the NFC. 11 wins? Beat them in the first game? First week?
Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah. Now, I like the Packers to win the game. I do. I think there's more to play for. I think it's just hard for me to ever imagine the Vikings sweeping Aaron Rodgers. It just really is. I do think that the Packers will have their healthy offense there with Watson hopefully on the field. Defensively, I think they've been playing pretty well. They do have a little bit of a weakness against the run still, but teams just refuse to run it against them. Dilly, I don't know what it is. But pass defense-wise, they're very, very good.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a big day in the cold at Lambeau Field. So I think they win a shootout. But that hook, bro.
Hook.
3.5. I think the Packers win by 3. 27-24. So I'm going to take the 3.5 with the Vikings because there's so many different ways that Vikings games are ended by one score. So I'm going to take 3.5. But I will take Green Bay to win because I just hope that they make it interesting to hopefully make a push in the playoffs because they're just an interesting, compelling franchise and team and quarterback. So I want to see them in there as that 7th seed. Dilly Vanilli, tell me why you're picking the Vikings.
Well, you already know it's Jay Jetta's time, baby. Don't you worry about no Jay Jettas. That's the first thing the Packers are going to have to worry about is Justin Jefferson. Okay, let me stop being basic. I'll talk about him in a minute, but let's get into some other factors. I just had to shout out the Jefferson,
That's
regime
a big
that
factor.
Yeah, easy, and I'll get to him in a second. I actually had more Vikings stuff. Again, Christmas was here. The family was here. I got some Thielen first down flakes. That's a cereal, if you don't know. It's still in my car. Yeah, it's a cereal. It's in my car right now. I guess should have brought it, but
Okay.
I could eat a bowl of that, but I'm not going to because I got to be professional, right? Like I gotta give you some analysis.
Yes.
The Packers, you're right. They've been playing pretty well recently. You have mentioned in our chat that they are the 4th best team in the NFC, which kind of tempts me to believe. That kind of makes me believe. Yeah, so if they're 4th, so I'm assuming that the 4th team could be between these two teams.
Yes,
Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so that's where I was feeling because I was like, well, I know he's got the 49ers up there. I know he's got the Eagles. I'm hopeful he's got the Cowboys somewhere up there.
Cowboys are 3rd.
Okay, so I was like, it's between these two teams. That's what I was thinking. But the Packers defense, they've come out. They have held their teams, the defensive teams, to under 21 points in the last 3 games. So that's a good start. On top of that, they've got 8 takeaways in the last 3 games. That's another good start. That's really going to help them going forward. Another thing, you're right. Is it weird to think that the Vikings could win 2 games in the same season against the Packers? Can't even tell you the last time that happened. Has it ever happened against Aaron Rodgers? I don't know that for a fact.
I don't know.
Maybe they did it with the season he was gone, but I can't promise you that they did it when he was there. You know what I mean? So they're playing well, and a guy like Christian Watson is just getting his momentum, and there's other guys that are working with Rodgers, and Rodgers doesn't seem like he's mad 24/7. He's just mad like 22-5 or something like that. Like it's calmed down a little bit, so that's a good thing. When you're getting hot at this point, because we definitely thought midway through the year they're toast, they're done. They look bad. They can't beat anybody. But then they come out and they're playing well. And then you've got an NFC North matchup. What do you think is going to happen? Of course, Aaron Rodgers is going to want to play against the NFC North. He thinks he owns them. Well, he kind of does. Regardless, he at least owns the Bears. I'll give him that. And he probably owns the Lions. The Vikings won. Vikings, I don't want to confirm that just yet. The Vikings, the miracle kid, if you will. I don't know how many games you could possibly win in as much dramatic fashion in one season as this team does. It's like watching Cowboys games on steroids. The amount of times they stress me out, right? I'm like, they're dead in the water. It's over. I'm going to go cook something in the oven. Boom, they make a play and they're right back in it. You're like, what is going on? The 33-0 comeback, the game of the ages. To be fair, you really shouldn't be struggling that much against the Colts to begin with. But the fact that you got back there after all that is unbelievable. And then last week, right? How do they top it? Well, you can't really top it. But you went out there and you beat a Giants team that's doing well. Like you said, they are vastly improved. And they went out there and won with a 61-yard field goal from a kicker who's never even kicked longer than 55 yards. Boom.
Damn.
There you go. That's how you get it done, ladies and gentlemen. The Giants have had so many 60-yard field goals against them. It's actually insane. But here, in this matchup, just like you had picked the Patriots in that game, I cannot stray away. I must pick the Vikings to take this win. Biased. You know why? You know why I think this is the Vikings are going to win? This is my selling point. All right? Are you ready?
Yeah.
They got to knock this team out the playoffs, man. The Giants lose. They're out. They're out. You don't think the Vikings want to go out there and say, not only are we the best team in the NFC by a large margin, but – or sorry, not the NFC. It's the NFC North. I'm sorry. NFC North by a large margin. But you try to make a comeback on us and you're going to try to do it against us to get to that with one game to go? No. We're going to force that situation out. We're going to make sure you don't do that. So that's why I'm picking the Vikings. Right there is the fact that they want to push that agenda. And of course, you need to keep the momentum. And 13-3 is going to look a lot better than 12-4 with 1 week to go. So there you go.
Straight cash, homie.
Yeah. I will say, I've heard a rumor, Dilly. The rumor is that Kevin O'Connell, literally, there's a picture of him in every casino in Vegas. He's not allowed in.
Yeah, that's fair. I probably wouldn't let him in, too, to be honest.
All right. Sunday Night Football, which was flexed in to Sunday Night Football. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Steelers.
It was 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 2.5. I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dilly.
Oh.
Tyler Huntley is probably going to be the quarterback, as Lamar Jackson was not spotted at practice yesterday or today. I'm not sure. Regardless. Today. Okay. I couldn't remember which day I read the tweet on. The Steelers, the first time they played, they really could have won the game, but Mitch Trubisky turned it over a couple times. And I feel like the Ravens ran it on them, yes, but I don't see them replicating that 2 times against the Pittsburgh Steelers front seven. I think the Steelers will be able to do a better job. And I just don't love how the Ravens are playing offensively. I don't love their passing game. I don't love their receiving core. I think their whole offense is Lamar Jackson. And Mark Andrews doesn't look like the same human out there. He just looks maybe a little bit slow, injured, something. Defensively, the Ravens are good, but this is a Mike Tomlin raw underdog spot there, Dilly Vanilli. You know what he does in these spots. So I'm going to take Kevil's least favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
The Steelers. Now, I know we're doing, who we think is going to do a win against the spread. We're not talking about over or under. But I promise you, take the under this week because these teams do not give up points at all. At all, they don't give up points. The Steelers have gone 5 straight games allowing under 18 points. The Ravens have gone 6 of the last 7 games allowing under 15 points.
Holy.
So there is no offense to be seen on probably going to be seen across the board on Sunday night. That being said, it's that classic NFC North battle, right? Ravens, Steelers, one of the best rivalries for a very long time over the last decade. And it's going to look a little bit different. We've got no Big Ben.
Kenny Pickett.
We've got Kenny Pickett, the new guy in town, the guy that's supposed to get something done. He has a chance to lead this team to the playoffs. And the famous thing that I've seen on Twitter 1,000 times is that Mike Tomlin's 500 record is on the line. If he loses one more game,
True.
he'll be under 500 for the first time in his entire career. The fact he's even in this position is a miracle because it was not looking that way for a while. And then they rolled off a couple of good victories, and now they're 7-8 with 2 chances to get it done. The Ravens, they're a playoff. They've already got it secured. So there isn't really that much worry on the line for them. But you don't have Lamar Jackson, probably. It's probably going to be Huntley. And so that makes me question whether or not the Ravens are going to do anything, whether they're just going to be cohesive. Like you said, Mark Andrews has done nothing the last couple of weeks. He's just been like a body at this point, which is sad. I don't know if that's going to change come playoffs or if Lamar him a better tight end, something to that degree, but it just has not clicked for him. And, their offense is anemic, especially with Huntley. There's just not going to be a whole lot coming from him. I can't say a whole lot much better about the Steelers offense. I mean, they scored, 13 points last week, and they did it basically on the last drive alone, getting it done against the Raiders. This is going to be a defensive matchup. I'm thinking like 13-10, man. It's going to be one of those games.
Yeah, I could see
where
that.
I guess Collinsworth and Tirico just had to watch not a whole lot of offense in the last game. They're going to have to do the same thing here this week, but I think it's going to be more entertaining for them. It's not going to be as struggling as that last game was. So, but I'm going to pick the Steelers. I got to pick the Steelers. I feel more confident in that.
He's stealing my lyrics.
Yeah. No, anyways, I just thought, I don't know. Like the Ravens, like I said, they've already secured it. Right? They're waiting for Lamar to get back. And I know they want to win. I know I could use the same analogy as I just did for the Packers and the Vikings, where they could basically eliminate the team. But the Ravens, they've got that playoff slot. They need to worry about their health and then kind of go forward. And yeah, they want to win, especially at home. But Steelers right now, I just feel like with their defense is going to get more of that control, maybe a big turnover. I could see a big turnover in the fourth quarter where it's on, the other side of the field. It's like let's say like the Ravens 30 and the Steelers get the ball and then they score, and that could be the big deciding factor. That one turnover could be huge. That's how I'm going to see it. But yeah, I'm going Steelers. Like I said, 13-10. Not a whole lot of offense to be seen.
All right. Next up, in the final matchup of the week, Dilly Vanilli.
The best game of the week.
We've got the Buffalo Bills. The Mafia. Headed to the jungle to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. No longer the Bungles, Dilly Vanilli. It is the Bengals.
Yes.
The Bills are favored by a point.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really matter.
No.
In Cincinnati, nobody really knows who's going to win. I feel like you could make an argument for both.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the Bills are the better team. I think they're a more well-rounded team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their defense is I don't even know if I could say it's healthier, but the Bengals defense is a little banged up. And
That's true.
They are going to have some guys playing like Trey Hendrickson, but with like a big club on his hand and stuff like that, which also happened against New England. I think Buffalo's defense, the way they play defensively, I think they're going to do a good job of playing a lot of zone coverages, cover two, not trying to man up against these receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals, not like the Chiefs try to do and play press man and blitz them all the time. Bills are very much the opposite. They like to rush four. They like to play zone. I think that comes in handy here with the way that they like to play coverage on the back end. And I feel like offensively, Josh Allen is just a stud. Throw it, run it, do his thing. They can run it better than people think. The Bills can. And I think the Bengals are going to have a tough time covering Stephon Diggs because without Chidobe Awuzie there, I don't really know if it's Eli Apple, who it's going to be, like who they're going to put on Stephon Diggs. And if you can't slow down Stephon Diggs, maybe they double him a lot. I'm not sure. That's a guy that can be an issue. And that's the guy that kind of becomes the engine of these big Bills, like 30, 40-point games that they showcase every year and every couple of weeks. So I think Diggs has a huge game. I think the Bills go into Cincinnati and win by a field goal, something like 30-27 versus Cincinnati, and allow themselves an opportunity at that number 1 seed.
Yeah. It's a great argument. Like you said, both teams have a chance to win this game. It's not like it's going to be just, give it away. This team's going to win. First off, I think Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are salivating at this game because they can finally watch something that is as good as they have been promised. Finally,
favorite guy, Joe Buck.
Yeah, love that, man. He has been my inspiration since day one. That's why I got into this profession. That's why I got this degree. No, it is not. That being said, we're here, and there's a lot of things to be said. The Bills' defense, I mean, they're dominant. Like you said, what they're going to do. I don't know how, the Bengals are going to be able to try to stop some of these guys on the Bills team because there's just a whole lot of playmakers across the board. Allen, the interceptions are a little bit nervous for me. 13 interceptions is kind of a lot, but we're going to see how that goes. Diggs, I mean, another great season as always. For the Bengals offensively, Burrow, I don't know how many games, but he has really improved his stock. There was a point probably midway through the year where I was like, obviously I want him to play well, and he's going to play well, but he was struggling. He was having a hard time. And now you can make a case he's a top 5 MVP candidate at this point. Mm-hmm. He has done that much more to upgrade this team. And the Bengals were struggling at that point, and ever since then, now, look, they're 11-4. That is great for them. Rushing-wise, not amazing. Mixon hasn't done a whole lot. I mean, he can have great games. We've seen that over the course of the year, but it hasn't been as explosive as I think it should be. And then the receiving core, Chase was hurt for a little bit. Now he's back, and all these guys. T. Higgins has been a great receiver. Tyler Boyd. So they've got all those weapons in spades, and I just really think it's going to come down to who gets the ball last. At the end of the day, what that situation comes up, and somebody's got to lead a big drive. Maybe enough just to get a field goal. I agree with you that a field goal is going to decide this game, but I'm going the opposite way. I'm going with the Bengals. I'm going to go with the Bengals to win this game. It's going to be a fun one, like I said. I mean, you got the 12-3 Bills. These are 2 of the top 5 teams in the NFL. Let's just put that in the money right now. Got to say it. 2 of the top 5 teams. So I'm glad we're getting to see this kind of matchup just right before the playoffs because it might be even a preview.
You know what it is kind of reminiscent of?
What's that?
The Chiefs-Bengals game last year, I think, around the same time.
Yeah. And good old Romo said, you could see this game in the AFC Championship game, and then what happened was
Romo just says that every time. He's like, yeah, this could be the Super Bowl, and then eventually he's right.
And then, every once in a while you can get that kind of prediction, right? But this kind of feels like there could be this matchup where it's like, all right, round 1, fight. And then, you get to that, and then somebody wins in dramatic fashion, or somebody wins and it was so close. And then the next game comes in, you're like, oh, man, the big rematch can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but kind of feels like it could be that way. These are 2 of the top 5 teams in the NFL. So whoever wins this game, I will say, it just puts themselves in a great spot going forward. You're really going to ride that in to the postseason, and I could see them being the perennial favorites in the AFC. I think I'm going to put that mark. Whoever wins this game is going to be my favorites in the AFC. If it is maybe if it's a sloppy game, that could be a different scenario, but I don't see that. Yeah. Whoever wins this game is going to have that. So I'm going to go with the Bengals, but should be a great one.
Shout out to Big Dog who says he subbed. Appreciate that, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're the man. Lenny B, the OG, says Dilly.
Lenny B. What's up, Lenny B?
And Joe Buck during this game will be like, Allen, Diggs.
Thanks.
Touchdown.
That's where he gets his excitement from. You know what? I'll give this man a little bit of credit. He's got a little bit more energy. He sang a Christmas carol last week.
Okay.
Maybe because he like just didn't like how life was going for him. He had to call 15 Monday Night Football games, so that would do anything to a guy. But
Yep.
I'll hope for him.
Well, there it is, guys. That is your Week 17 NFL picks breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed it with the return of Dilly Vanilli. And Dylan, we're planning on having you on more. These podcast format type videos, potentially on the NFL review show at times. Maybe we'll even do something on Sundays. I'm not sure. And then I was talking to him about the idea of doing like a news podcast type deal. So we'll still talk it out, but I think Dylan's going to be involved moving forward as somebody that I can bounce off of, host with me. So it's not just always me all the time, because I know that the propaganda gets a little old every now and again. So we got to bring in a different perspective, a different opinion, and I felt like it was the right time to bring Dilly back.
Yeah, I mean, it's the time. Now we can throw more propaganda, but with different teams. Perfect. That's going to work into our benefit. Pats, Bucks, Cowboys, Vikings. Boom. Put it all together. Those are I guess 49ers too.
49ers, throw them in there.
There you go. Well, one of those teams on your side has to be, the shining light of the so
I can't watch the two worst teams to watch in the NFL and then pick a third team.
I mean, but it's not fun, right? Like, it's just like, can you watch the Patriots every week? No, it's so hard right now. And the Bucks, forget about it. That being said, I'm excited to be back. Again, just it's a new era, and really looking forward to what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah, guys, let's try to get to 40K, man. We're so close to 40K, bro. Let's try to share with your friends. Share just one of your friends out there. Hey, man, subscribe. This is my favorite channel that talks NFL. 40K, they're so close. Go subscribe, man. So we're almost there. Hopefully we can get there right like as 2023 begins, so we can start off with a little celebration. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, appreciate everybody that's been viewing, that has been a long time viewer, that remembers when Dilly was here before. Appreciate all the new people that have been here, and appreciate everybody that will follow. Good things coming to the BLV. It's the end of 2022, but we still have a lot more content to come. So thanks, guys, for watching. From Dilly and Mitch, peace.
Peace.